Hey, it's Drybear. We're continuing our series of making leveling builds for all the classes in the game, putting together their best abilities, stats, and synergies so you can have a good time leveling up. We finished the Mercenary, we finished the Warrior, and now we've moved on to the Monk, the other melee class in the game. Now, there's actually a ton of builds I want to make for Monk, as a lot of these synergies are very close together, and you can make very subtle variations between them depending on your Ascendancy and the nodes you take and the direction you take in the skill tree as well. So today will be my Tempest Monk build. This is going to focus primarily on Tempest Flurry, which I think is sufficient to get you all the way to endgame. It's incredibly powerful and also very simple. It reminds me of like the Star Wars kid meme where he's spinning the double lightsaber around. That's basically what you're going to be doing the entire time, killing everything in your path using the Tempest Bell. There's a bunch of late game builds that we can get into as well, but I wanted to focus on that. And if you didn't know why we're doing this, I'd asked my audience if they wanted late game polished, like super late game builds, which will take longer, or if they wanted me to go through all the classes and put together some synergies of the builds and abilities and you know, gems that they have to make some builds that can be used to level 2 endgame and get you started in a direction to help you start theory crafting a build you may want to finish in endgame as well. So that's what's going to focus on here. Now, for leveling, we're going to start with Falling Thunder along with Killing Palm. These are very easy to level. You can even use Quarterstaff Strike if you really want to. But then as soon as we get Tempest Bell and Tempest Flurry, that's pretty much the only two abilities you need to use. Once you have the right stats and the right passives, you can literally just flip your Quarterstaff around, doing tons of lightning damage to everyone. As long as you finish the combo on Tempest Flurry, you'll kill everything in AoE. And if there's anything, either a high HP single target, or there's a lot of AoEs, you can put down the Tempest Bell and spin on it and do a bunch of extra damage there as well. You'll get a bunch of shock, and then as you start moving into Cruel, like Cruel Act 1, Cruel Act 2, you start getting Electrocute, which is going to make things easier for you as well. And if you ever wanted to, you could use Killing Palm to get the power charges, but I think we're so stacked on lightning damage, like true lightning damage on this build, that you actually don't even need to do power charges or mess with that at all if you don't want to. You can literally just spin to win with your staff and just burn through everything in your way. And again, like I said, this has a great, it's one build ability, it's great for single target, it's great for AoE, and gives you a lot of options as you're burning through anything the campaign can throw at you. Also, in all my leveling guides, I've been refraining from showing like the main theatric fights in these builds. I don't know if it's been long enough or if this is going to be spoilers, so I'll just put it in this video and you can yell at me if you don't like it. I know a lot of people are struggling with the end of act bosses in 1, 2, and 3, so I just wanted to show what the build can do in a single target situation. And again, we're just going to be building lightning damage up against this, and then when you get to a single target, all you have to do is place the Tempest Bell onto or next to the single target, and then use your Tempest Flurry so that you hit the boss and the bell simultaneously. And obviously when you finish the combo on your Tempest Flurry, it will not only strike the bell and the boss, but it'll also ricochet off the bell and hit the boss again. So your single target is actually incredibly strong. Now, it does mean that you're gonna have to get in melee range for this. You actually do need a little bit of evasion to make this work, but you're gonna have so much shock value on it and burst damage that you're actually just gonna burn through a lot of their HP while you're doing these sorts of mechanics. And what I love about this too is you have the added bonus of having shock, and because you're running with Tempest Bell, you can very easily just you get some added elemental damage if you want it on an ability, on the bell, or on a weapon or something, and those added elements will also add to the build and deal extra damage to the single target. You know, you just sit there, you just burn it down, so you don't really have to worry too much about single target with the addition of the bell. Now, if you run into problems, we are going to move into like lightning exposure, penetrating lightning damage, so that as we move into like cruel difficulty towards endgame, we can get through some of those resistances. But I think overall, it gives you a very simple build that's incredibly powerful. Now, of course, as always, I have a one sheet that details the beginning of the build. I put a third support gem there for Tempest Flurry once you get the lesser jeweler's orb to get that added on. I would just go straight for Tempest Flurry. And I also have the skill build on the right side for the skill tree and the items that are going to make the biggest difference for you as you try to push through the campaign as well, and what to do. Again, you're going to start with Falling Thunder and then move your way into Tempest Flurry later on. This is different than some of the other, like I said, you could probably make 2 or 3 quite different lightning builds for Monk, and this is just going to be one of them. I'm going to start working on the other ones right after this. And of course, for people that don't like the image, they want something a little bit more concrete to build off of, I've published this on Mobalytics as well, with the weapon stats, the glove stats that'll make a difference, all of the abilities. You can actually activate Charged Staff. It's just a little weird to get power charges only by Killing Palm, but it will give you some single target boost. So once you unlock Charged Staff, you can move into it. You can even do Gathering Storm as well to add even more damage on top of it once you move into Cruel difficulty and unlock those. And then I have the full skill tree as well. And for this, we are going Invoker. It's the perfect synergy for that as well, and through the skill tree all the way up here. All right, let's jump into the build and talk about the overall playstyle of it and how to put it together. It's a very simple, surprisingly so. So when you first start out, you will get Falling Thunder as your first ability. This is just a slam attack that just does lightning damage in front of you. This is a power charge consuming payoff attack as well. So if you're able to generate power charges and then you activate it again, it will cause a much bigger cone attack that does a lot of damage. This is going to be your bread and butter while the first 8 to 10 levels or so until you actually start unlocking like Tempest Bell and of course your Tempest Flurry as well. That's just kind of your bread and butter. But of course, if you need to, you can always just go for Quarterstaff attack. If you have any, support gems on it, you can put like Brutality on it. You can put any of the infusion gems on it. You can even put stun buildup on it with Overpower. Very easy to deal with, very easy to use. Then you want to pick up Killing Palm as well. And this is going to be kind of your finish off. This is a low damage attack that will do what's called a culling strike on an enemy. If an enemy gets culled, it means that they are low on HP. They're below a 30% threshold. It will instantly kill them and it will give you a power charge, which will then power up your slam. And for this, I like running Perpetual Charge and Innervate. This gives you a large damage, and I think it's worth it to just Quarterstaff attack until they get low, finish off with Killing Palm, get your charge, and then you can kill a whole room with a well charged up Falling Thunder, and then you just do that over and over. Once you have Tempest Bell, you'll unlock that next as part of this. This is when you're going to start wanting to melee attack a little bit more because you won't get much value from doing this. You might just want to auto attack up to 4 times, put the bell down, and then start attacking the bell. Once you have 4 charges for the bell, you can place it down. And there's a couple things you want to know about the bell. Pretty much anything you do to the bell will get echoed to everyone around you. It can carry element and other bonuses like that. And also, while the bell is down, if you don't have any limit on the bell and it's limit 1 bell, you won't be able to get hits to get the new Tempest Bell until the old bell has disappeared. By default, I believe this is 6 seconds for the duration, so you have to build that up. So you won't be gaining any hits. You have to have Quarterstaff hits for the Tempest Bell to build up. It won't come from like skills and things like that. So you won't be able to get any charges. Like if I Falling Thunder these mobs, you'll notice how I'm not getting any charges on my Tempest Bell because I'm not hitting them with my Quarterstaff. I'm hitting them with the AoE from the slam. So you have to do either Quarterstaff attack, or once you have Tempest Flurry, this will charge up your bell as well, which is going to be a really easy way to build up a bunch of damage for AoE. The weird thing about the bell is when the bell is down, sometimes because the Quarterstaff has extended range over a lot of melee abilities, sometimes you'll be facing one way and the bell will spawn behind you or to the side, or it's too far away. So you're just going to have to get used to getting really close to the enemy and then spawning the bell, or spawn the bell as the enemies are moving in so it's easier to target them, and you'll get used to the range. And then once the bell's on top of them, you can just go to town on it. Without Tempest Flurry, when you're leveling, you can just hit Falling Thunder. You can also just whack it normally. Your physical damage should be enough at low levels to deal with it, or you can even, Killing Palm if you really want to, just to build that up. Then, once you unlock Tempest Flurry a little bit further into Act 1, then you're cooking with gas. You have so much lightning build damage in this build that you can literally just do this and everything around you is going to die. If there's a single target or if there's an AoE pack, you can throw down a bell and you will get Quarterstaff charges from this. Throw down the bell and then just channel on the bell. In single target, make sure that you have the bell and the boss on the same area in front of you. So either put the bell between you and the boss, or put it like inside the boss so that you can hit the boss and the bell simultaneously. This will drastically increase your single target damage as you're bursting through that. And that's really all you have to do. Now, this Tempest Flurry is a combo skill, which means it is a hit chain. It has 4 strikes total. You can do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you can do another one because we have a support gem in it. But if we take out like Crescendo, it is a 4-hit combo. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? And it resets. This combo has a very small grace period, which means if I go and then I go again, you'll notice it already reset. I waited too long to continue the combo. So if you want to try and like do multiple hits, you have to do it pretty fast to be able to deal with it. Now, a lot of the value from Tempest is going to be coming from that final hit. So this hit here is going to start doing tons of AoE damage for you. So we're going to run gems that focus on getting to that final hit as fast as possible. So basic Tempest Flurry is like this. You can see it's kind of slow, and that the amount that comes out from that lightning strike is not super fast. It's not super frequent. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put Martial tempo on it. This gives us attack speed on it. And we're also, when we talk about the skill tree, you'll notice that we have a whole bunch of skill speed in here as well, which is going to make a really big difference for us to be able to get to that last hit as fast as possible. So now you can see it's way faster. We get that last hit. Then we're going to add crescendo, which gives us 2 fourth hits in a row. So if we go to 4, we go bam, bam, and now it's 2. And again, when we have multiple targets, that's going to split up and deal damage. And when we have a bell down, the lightning strikes are going to hit the bell, which then doubles up on hitting the target again, which gives you a lot more damage from that as well. Then you want to pick up Herald of Thunder. It's the easiest, simplest spirit. You don't even need to add anything to it if you don't want to. You could add some extra damage on here. I don't think you would need to add clarity right away, but if you move towards the end of Cruel or into endgame, you probably want to get some mana regeneration on this. Just note that it will increase the spirit cost of it if you do end up modifying that way. And then you also have some options here with Siphoning Strike, Stormwave, and Charged Staff. Personally, for me, I think Charged Staff is all you really need. Just get power charges by using Killing Palm. Use Charged Staff. I would put Persistence here as well, and maybe even just an additional for the a chance to gain combo on it, or just having extra damage on it. And then you would just activate this and go right back into your flippy Star Wars kid kind of business, and you can just clear through the campaign this way very quickly. Next, let's talk about the skill tree, and this is where things get kind of interesting, right? Because there's going to be a big difference between ailment focus, shock, crit chance, and crit damage scaling on lightning, which there's plenty of in the monk kit. There's also going to be some power charge consumption, converting those into frenzy charges into power charges, and using combat frenzy to get lots of power charges and consuming those that way. That's also another option for lightning. And then there's this one, which is going to be basically just playing like a lightning caster with lightning skills, getting as much lightning damage and penetration as possible, and just dealing lightning damage and elemental damage up front, which I think is probably the simplest form of leveling, but you'll have to see if this is actually something that works for very high-end maps, or if this falls apart in favor of other lightning builds. But I think this is a perfect, easy, simple, straightforward build to run to get through the campaign. So we're going to start here, and again, because we're a very skill-focused, attack-focused build, we do want the skill speed from these, and then the attack damage as well. This one is going to be for a different build entirely. Then we'll pick up some increased attack speed, and then we'll go ahead and get the chance to shock with extra lightning damage as well. And remember, shock by default as an ailment is just a damage amplifier. If the enemy is shocked, they will just take more damage from you in general. When you're running a pure monk build that's from the quarterstaff, you want to run about equal dexterity and intelligence. Most of your abilities are going to be about equal dexterity and intelligence. So as you're moving through the attribute highway and picking up stats, notice that some of the notables here are going to have stats on them. So keep that in mind as you're picking them up, but you kind of just want to mix in between intelligence and dexterity, and also depending on the gear you have, how many stats you're picking up. But what I would do is I would leave this node, take the attribute highway up here, and immediately come up here and grab all elemental damage nodes here, and then just grab the increased elemental damage if you've shocked an enemy recently. This is going to give you 70% elemental damage, 100% elemental damage, and generally I would say for most leveling builds, before you get to the end of Act 1, you want to have at least 100% increased of your main damage stat to make it a pretty viable leveling build, and we can get all of that in one cluster here. Then we're going to pick up the attribute highway, and we're going to come up here as well, and I would stop at this node set, and I would pick up the cast speed and attack speed as well, and get the lightning damage at the end. Again, most of your damage is going to come from finishing off the end of this, doing as much AoE as you can. Obviously, the Tempest Bell is going to add to that as well, but you want to make sure you're finishing that off, and this is going to give you a large increase to you finishing that hit combo as fast as possible. I ran a couple tests with going through the attribute highway using a jewel early on. It's a little bit cheaper even to go this way, but I think because you consume so much mana, it's worth getting the mana regen plus the notable here with max mana on that as well. Then go to this attribute highway, and then you're going to get all of these nodes over here. I would recommend first going through lightning damage all the way to the top to get lightning damage per intelligence. Then you can come down and get damage penetration in case they have lightning resistance. Then you get chance to shock as well as shock duration. Then you can work your way back and get more chance to shock as well. I don't think with this build you're ever going to use lightning chaining, but there would be an option for that if you go for projectiles as well. Then what I would do is I would just cut over here to the Witch Sorceress starter area through the attribute highway, and I would grab more lightning penetration, plus more dexterity. It's going to let you get some easy penetration against enemies that have high lightning resistance. Then you get one hop, skip, and a jump away, and you have a whole bunch of lightning elemental damage here as well. Plus you have chance to inflict shock as well. And this is going to put you probably like Act 1, maybe like Act 2 Cruel once you get through all of these. Like Act 1, Act 2 Cruel, like reaching end game. You have a couple options from here if you want to continue this build through end game. There's going to be some elemental nodes here. There's going to be some elemental nodes up here as well. But then you're kind of far away. You could always just change direction and go towards the ranger ailment slash elemental slash lightning side. There is a new cluster of nodes right over here as well, near the monk ranger side as well, which could give you some nice lightning damage and a little bit of electrocute buildup, which they took out of the game as well, which could be useful. But that would be up to you on where you want to go as you go into like level 70 plus, going into mapping and deciding how much more survivability you need and how that end game is going to look for you. Next, let's talk about Ascendancy. The only choice here is Invoker. Anytime you're doing elemental on monk, the only choice really is Invoker. We will do a lot of Acolyte of Choyula and Shadow Chaos style builds, but that will come later. So when we're doing elemental, I think the best choice for this is Invoker, and then come straight up through the middle and grab these nodes here. So when you finish the Trial of Sekhmet in Act 2 and then finish the Trial of Chaos in Act 3, go straight for Unbound Avatar. This will give you increased magnitude of shock, elemental damage. It will give you extra damage as lightning and chance to create shocked ground, which you're going to create anyway, but it gives you another option for that as well. And then you also get Unbound Avatar, which is, you know, it builds up from ailment, triggers, and then for like 9 seconds you get a whole bunch of bonuses to what you're doing, ailments, elemental damage, the like. So it just gives you a big bonus there. Then from that side, I would go down to the bottom side here. I would get critical hits and crit chance into elemental expression. This one is going to be kind of more of your like end game mapping, like T6 plus, T10 plus, on if you decide to go more into crit chance or not. This is going to be super end game for that as well, but I think you'll have to figure out what you want to do with that. This is just going to get you through the campaign on the easy track. So there you go. That's just the Tempest Flurry monk build. Very straightforward, surprisingly easy. I blew through this in a matter of hours all the way through Act 3. It was just very easy to do, and the damage was surprising, maybe because I'm just coming off of Warrior Theory Crafting, but this was just such a straightforward build. Very fun, very easy, very flippy, and very cool as well. And you can just go straight through the campaign, get through Cruel, and start working on your end game from this.
If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.